Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sandra's Stenography and Shorthand Dictation. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. If this is your first time here, please hit the subscribe button. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. If this is not your first time here and you have not subscribed, still hit the subscribe button. Also, hit the bell for notifications so you'll know when I go live and upload new videos. And also, don't forget to share and leave me comments. I always respond. Today, as you can tell by the title, we're working on Jeffrey Macdonald. Yeah, we're back on the case. And this is going to be number 10, reading number 10, should I say. And we're still on, if I look at this correctly, I believe we're still on August 13th. So, and Jeffrey Macdonald is on the stand, of course. And as you guys know, this is already going to be Q&A. I'm posting or trying to do a video on my tablet here, so if it looks a little different than what it normally does, that it would be why. And the reason I'm doing this on my tablet is because the platform that I was using to make my videos, they want to now start charging me. It used to be free. So now, so it's just some more money I'm gonna have to kick out in the future. So before I do that though, I decided let me try to do this on my laptop, on my tablet, and see how the video works out. So if it works out great, I may do these more often. If not, then I'll go back and have to start kicking out some more dough. And who wants to do that if they don't have to, right? So here we are. We're going to go ahead and get started. I noticed in some of my last readings of the Jeffrey Macdonald case, because we started off with number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All of these videos can be found on my YouTube channel under Q&A, under the Q&A playlist. So now that we're up to number 10, I had noticed, was reading or was listening to some of the previous videos before I started this, and they seem a little slow. So I think I'm going to pick up the pace, if you guys don't mind. All right. I'll try to go between like 120, 130. We might even get to 140. We'll see. But we're going to go ahead and get started. Ready to write in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's write. Question. You mentioned a couple of trips to the North Carolina mountains. Was that in the fall of 1969? Answer. Yes, it was. Question. Or was that in the winter of 69-70? Answer. In the winter of 69-70? Question. Yes. I am trying to place the time. Was it in November? Answer. It was in the fall, sir. Question. October or November? Answer. There was no snow yet. Question. Or maybe early December or late December or January? Answer. No. Question. Early February? Answer. No, I don't think it was in the winter. It was in the fall. Question. The best we can place it is sometime around October, November, or possibly early December. Is that it? Answer. Actually, I know when I went once. I went shortly after I got to Fort Bragg. So one was in September. Question. I believe one was. I don't remember if there were two, but if there were two, the first one was about a week. I distinctly remember it was a long training trip. I was up there probably about a week. Question. And the second one was of shorter duration? Answer. Right. Question. Now, I know there has been some talk about this famous jump party down in Texas. I won't go into that at this time. Answer. Feel free, sir. Question. I'll save that for a later point. but I just want to know whether there was any social activity when you went down to the North Carolina mountains comparable to the so-called jump party. Answer: no, sir. There were some there were some unusual events, but it wasn't a similar type of party. Question: well, I don't know what you mean by unusual events. Maybe you better just elucidate briefly. I don't want you to go into any detail. Answer: we met some moonshiners. Question: that's not unusual down in the North Carolina mountains, is it? Answer: it was to me. I thought that my medical service corps officer was kidding me. They just came out of the woods with a brown paper bag and squatted down next to the campfire. It was unbelievable. Question: with a jug? Answer: with a jug. Question: in the bag? Answer: they didn't say a word for 20 minutes. I kept looking at them, and finally he said, quote, take a sip, close quote. And this went on for a long time. To make a long story short, we ended up about 4 a.m. in his mother's house. I was taking a piece of shrapnel out of his wife's shoulder that he had put there when he discharged the gun into the floor. It really got a little unusual. It was an old shrapnel wound, not that night. And he got absolutely roaring drunk, this moonshiner, and he kind of demanded that I take it out. So I looked at my medical service corps officer and he said, quote, if he says take it out, you take it out, close quote. So I took it out. We then departed, got back to camp about 4:30 a.m. and got up at 5 a.m. Question now, going back to the occasion when you took the emergency leave and traveled from down near Puerto Rico up to Patchogue, you remember at that time you were short of funds and had to borrow some money? Answer: you mean from Puerto Rico? Question: yes. Answer: I don't distinctly remember it, no. I am sure it was offered by the guys that were with me, but I don't know if I took it or not. Question: do you remember borrowing some money up in Long Island? Answer: no. Question now, during the Article 32, you were asked a series of about 4 questions that opened up an area, but they didn't close it. The matter was not resolved. I don't have the transcript here, but you were asked, did you, at that time, to go to a certain bar, which was a bar that apparently your brother Jay frequented? Answer: the Sports Stop bar. Question: the Sports Stop bar. Where is that bar located? Answer: I don't remember. I have been into a lot of bars to bail my brother out. It was either in New York, in Greenwich Village. I think that's where it is actually. Question: so while you were there, you went down to New York, Greenwich Village, and you went to this bar? Answer: right. Question: what was the purpose in going to this bar? Answer: to find out who had been selling my brother drugs. Question: what drugs was your brother using? Answer: he stated that he had been taking amphetamines, uppers. And then the night of this bad trip, he told me that someone had given him 2 capsules. Typical drug abuser comment. And I said, what were they? And he said he didn't know. He presumed they were mescaline or LSD. Actually, I presumed that because he was in this tremendous hallucinatory state, he was having wild hallucinations. But when I questioned him, it was apparent that he had been speeding, taking amphetamines, for a long time that I hadn't been aware of. And on reflection then, some of his prior actions seemed a lot more in tune with his speeding. For instance, he used to drive down from New York to Chicago nonstop. I used to wonder, how the hell can anyone do that? It's a long drive. And he used to stay up all the time. He used to party day and night. It never occurred to me that my brother would be taking amphetamines. Question, all right. Now, you were asked this when you were at the bar. You had seen certain people, referring to four people that your brother associated with. Answer, right. Question, tell us about that. Answer, I don't believe I was asked that. That was indirect. I am not, disagreeing with you. Question, I say they opened a certain area, but they didn't pursue it. And reading the file, from reading the answer, the implication was that I may have seen these people. Question, reading Article 32, I know they are referring to a group of four people who allegedly frequented that bar. Now, tell us about it. Answer, okay. The implication that was gotten through a lot of other testimony that was really third hand and fourth hand hearsay. It was unbelievable. My brother knew a group that corresponded roughly to this group of intruders that I had seen in my house on 17 February. You went to this bar? Answer, yes. Question, you saw people in the bar? Answer, right. Question, now tell us about them. Answer, I spoke to a couple of individuals, Caucasian males. At that point, I had absolutely no reference to this other group until a CID agent, Benny Hawkins, walks into the Article 32 with this wild, bizarre story about another group of four people, including a black male and a blonde female. But at the shortstop bar, I was unaware of this other group. Question, well, tell us. Describe to us the people that you saw in the shortstop bar. Answer, they were just bums. A bunch of guys that don't work for a living. A lot of my brother's friends are that way. They live with girls or one of them goes on welfare, and 6 or 8 of them live together. One gets welfare, two gets welfare, one works construction. Construction is good money, so they share the money. They're just bums. They sit and drink all night, and now I find out they are taking a lot of drugs. Question, all right, what did they look like? How old were they? How tall were they? Give us a physical description. Answer, I tell you the truth, Mr. Warhide. I'm really dragging. This is hazy stuff that I'm trying to tell you now and make it sound positive. I had an argument in the shortstop bar with a couple of guys who said they knew Jay. And I had been told that the bartender was one of the guys supplying Jay with speed. So I guess I got a little pushy with them, and there was a little scuffle thereon, and I hit the guy or something like that. And I honestly don't. He was a Caucasian male, brown hair. I'd say probably about 6 feet tall. Question, all right. You are referring to the bartender? Answer, I don't know if he was the bartender or not. He was sitting at the end of the bar. There was another bartender, but I was told he was a bartender. I don't know if he was a bartender at the short, you know. I came flying in from Puerto Rico and find my brother, in a mental institution. Get him out. And I am really mad. And I went to New York City and spent about an hour talking to some people. Quote, where's Jay? Close quote. Oh, he's out on the island. Quote, I heard he had some trouble type thing. So I got into sort of a shooting contest with this dope. Question, you say shooting contest. You were shooting off your mouth and he was shooting off his mouth? Answer, yeah. I asked him, question, there was a little pushing and shoving? Answer, I went up to him and I said, quote, do you know Jay Macdonald? Close quote. Yeah, I know Jay. I said, quote, do you know he is in the state hospital? Words to that effect. And the guy said, quote, well, no, I didn't know that, close quote. I said, quote, yeah, he had a bad reaction to some pills someone gave him, close quote. And he said, quote, oh, or something. And I said, quote, yeah, close quote. And I probably told him he was an asshole. And I heard that he had given him the pills. And he said he didn't. You know, who the hell did I think I was sitting in a public bar accusing him of that? So the words got a little heated, and I pushed him, and he pushed me, and I hit him. Question, was there a blonde woman there, a girl? Answer, not that I remember. I am sure there was in the bar at some point, but I don't remember. Question, did this fellow have a mustache? Answer, I don't think that the guy that I had the action. There were several people there, but the guy that I was talking with did not have a mustache, I don't think. Question, was there a black man there? Answer, no, not that I remember. Question, one man that stands out in your mind is the bartender who was at the end of the bar that was about 6 feet tall. Answer, if this is the same bar that I'm thinking of, yes. It is a triangular shaped room, and the bar down at the window at the point of the triangle, that end of the bar, if this is that episode. I've bailed my brother out a lot of trouble on a lot. He is an older brother. I've bailed him out a lot. Mr. Warhide. Mr. Foreman, my clock says 12 o'clock. Foreman, all right, let's take a lunch recess to about Mr. Warhide. When do you want to reconvene the grand jury? Do you want to make it 1:15? Foreman, 1:15. All right. Lunch recess. The afternoon session of the grand jury reconvened at 1:15 p.m. The following proceedings were held to wit. Bracket, open bracket, Dr. Jeffrey Macdonald resumes the stand, close bracket. Further examination by Mr. Warhide, Woerheide. Question, Dr. Macdonald, you realize that your testimony at this time, as on any occasion when you recalled before the grand jury after a recess, is under the oath previously administered to you? Answer, yes, I do. Question, Dr. Macdonald, have you had an opportunity to consult with your counsel, Mr. Siegel and Mr. Answer Malley? Question, Malley, concerning our request as to the taking of hair samples? Answer, yes, I have, sir. Question, and what is your response? Answer, can I refer to some notes? Question, yes. Answer, I don't. I am willing to give hair samples to a qualified technician, hopefully from the Federal Bureau of Investigation and not the Army. Question, I have consulted with Special Agent Don Murray of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and he has told me that he will arrange with a qualified physician or doctor to take those hair samples under the Federal Bureau of Investigation's supervision. Answer, okay. Question, is that a satisfactory arrangement with you? Answer, yes. I'd just like to make some comments in reference to that. Question, and we will also, I might say, probably have present a technician who specializes in the examination of hair samples. Answer, fine. I'd just like to make some comments for the record reference to the hair samples. I'm agreeing and will give whatever hair samples are requested or taken by the alleged expert that will be at the hair sample procedure. But I'd like to make several comments. One is that we have been led to believe by the CID agents themselves and the Fort Gordon laboratory that the hair samples found in my wife's hands were 2 to 3 inches in length. I'd just like to remind the grand jury that I was an airborne Green Beret physician at this time, and I had no hair except possibly armpit hair of 2 to 3 inches in length. It's just absurd to say that I did. The second thing is that personally, my counsel and myself see absolutely no problem with the original wording of the hair sample report from Fort Gordon, Georgia. It sounds very clear. However, I'd like to state and get it on the record that even if these hair samples taken now, 4 years later, were found somehow to match up beautifully with the hair samples in my wife's hands, I would not consider that as a very significant finding in the view of the testimony taken under oath in the Article 32 hearing, that not only I moved her hands, but several other people moved her hands before the hair samples were taken, including another physician. And I'd just like that to be understood. This hair sample became a tremendous problem at the Article 32 hearing, and the problem should be obviated by what I just said. The physician who came in to pronounce death didn't even wash his hands before he went from Kimberly and Chris to Colette. And her hands were moved several times before these alleged samples were taken. Question Dr. Macdonald, all these facts will be brought to the attention of the grand jury. Answer, I just felt that if question and you, of course, I'm not objecting to you're expressing your views. You are free to express your views, and I'm perfectly aware of the various considerations that you have stressed and emphasized in the remarks you have just made. They are matters of concern to me, and they are matters within my knowledge too. And as I explained to you previously, I doubt if this examination will be definitive for various reasons. Nevertheless, I feel in view of the fact that it became such an element of controversy so far as the investigation was concerned, the Article 32 hearing was concerned, and I believe it was made an element of controversy, not so much by the submissions made by the government in connection with the case, but by the cross-examination and the arguments that were presented by your counsel at the time, that we have to go into it now and attempt to resolve some of these questions. Now, that's as far as I care to make a statement on these hair samples. I appreciate your cooperation. We will notify the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation will make the necessary arrangements. Answer, right. Question, now shortly before the break, we were talking about Patchogue and your visit to this bar in Greenwich Village. Answer, sir, can I say two things with reference to the prior conversation that I remember? Well, what I do when I leave here, by the way, is I get debriefed. I have to try to remember what was said in this room and then tell them my answer. So that's what I do for the last hour and a half. And things come up. Your memory is jogged again. You asked me, I believe you asked me, when I got to the airport, who picked me up? And I said, Jay. Question, on one trip? Answer, right. Question, now your memory has been refreshed by talking to your attorneys and giving the matter further consideration? Answer, that it was Jay and Colette and Kim and Chris that was there. Jay was driving. That's why I responded, quote, Jay, close quote. I just wanted to make the record more complete. In addition, I believe my brother was sometime bartender at the shortstop also. I don't think that I ever mentioned that. I don't know, in fact, that he was. But I think he was a bartender on and off at the same bar. I think that's how I got there. Question, well, I thank you for bringing that to our attention. Now, when you left Patchogue to return to Fort Bragg, or did you go back to Fort Bragg after that emergency leave? Answer, surely, back to Fort Bragg. Question, you didn't go back to Puerto Rico? Answer, no, I don't think so. Question, just came back to Fort Bragg? Answer, I believe so. Question, do you remember how you left Patchogue? Answer, no. Question, did you take a train? Answer, I could have. That would have been an unusual occurrence. I don't remember taking a train. It's much more likely that my mother drove me to the airport. Question, you don't remember going to the train station? Answer, I took a train one trip back to the island, but I don't remember when it was. I don't know. I don't distinctly recollect it was this time. Question, well, traveling from Patchogue to Manhattan, Greenwich Village, would you have taken a train for that trip? Answer, no, unusually. Not? No. Question, how would you make that trip? Answer, you drive. It's 60 miles. Question, isn't there a commuter service train between Patchogue and Manhattan? Answer, there are some trains. It's not really a good commuter service. Question, is that where the Long Island Railroad runs? Answer, yes. Question, the train station at Patchogue is Long Island Railroad Station? Answer, right. Question, and people use that for going back and forth to Manhattan? Answer, yes. Question, isn't that more expeditious than going by car and trying to find a place to park in Manhattan? Answer, no. The train trip is 2 hours, and driving is an hour because of the number of stops. Question, do you remember on this occasion using the train? Answer, no. Question, do you remember that you did not use the train? Answer, no. Question, you remember on one occasion that you did travel by train? Answer, yes. The only distinct recollection I have was going. I don't know how I would get from an airport to a train station, but I think I went out to the island by train one time. I don't really remember the other way. It may have happened. I honestly don't remember. Question, Dr. Macdonald. I'm going to ask you at this time to try to recall as best you can every person to whom you made a statement recounting the events of the night of February 16, 17, 1970. At this juncture, I am not going to ask you what you said to them. I'm just going to ask you if you recall talking to various people, who I will mention by name. If you recall talking to other people on various occasions and giving them some statement, however brief, however lacking in detail, concerning the events of that night. Now, among the first people that arrived at your house on that morning were Lieutenant Polk, a CID agent named Micah, and a CID agent named Tever. Answer, Micah and Tever were MPs. Question, they're MPs. Answer, right. Question, did you make a statement to them concerning what had transpired upon their arrival? Answer, not a statement. Question, I'm not talking about a formal statement. Answer, I know, I understand that. Question, did you give some information to them? Answer, I listened to their testimony as they told me they were the ones I was talking to. I was not aware of it at the time. I didn't know it was Micah, Tever, and Park. I talked to some MPs in the house that night, yes. Question, and you told them what transpired prior to their arrival? Answer, yes. Question, I mean the fact that there were intruders, that you had been assaulted after you recovered awareness, following an interlude, certain things that you observed. Answer, that's right. Question, certain things that you did. Answer, yes. Question, and they came to your house approximately 4 o'clock. Is that it? Or slightly before 4 o'clock? Answer, that's what the testimony was. I don't know that, sir. I don't know if you want my answer to be what I know now to be considered a fact, like times and stuff. I wasn't aware when they arrived that it was 4 o'clock. Do you follow me? Question, yes. But it was sometime within that time frame? Answer, it was nearly morning. Question, and it was during the night and before dawn at that time of the year? Answer, right. Question, now, there were certain medics that I am informed came to the house. Names that I have here. Nucherno, Gillespie, and Jaeger. Answer, I have no knowledge of any of them. Question, when the medics were there, did you make certain statements to the medics or certain statements in the presence of the medics? Answer, not that I'm aware of. Question, recounting what had transpired before they arrived? Answer, you mean like laying on the stretcher, I said something, but I don't remember talking to anyone? No. Question, all right now, the medics took you to the hospital. When you arrived at the hospital, there was a corpsman named Newman. Do you recall him? Answer, only from his testimony. Question, he did testify at the Article 32. Answer, I believe that he testified that he saw me. Question, at the time he testified, do you remember that he had seen you and given you the initial treatment that was given to you in the emergency room? Answer, no, I do not. Question, well, do you remember that when you arrived there, you were put in the emergency room? Answer, first thing I remember upon arrival to the hospital was a nurse asking me my social security number. That's what I remember. Question, was that the nurse in the admitting department? Answer, I don't know, sir. I was on a stretcher, and she was demanding to know my social security number. Question, were you in the emergency room, or were you in the corridor leading to the emergency room? Answer, I don't know. Question, did they take you to the emergency room? Answer, there were doctors there, and there were people running around. They were starting an IV in my arm. I presume that I was. Question, you were talking to a what? Answer, doctors. Question, I thought you said something about IV or answer, an IV, intravenous. Question, you did see Newman testify? Answer, yes, I did. Question, you don't recall having seen him that evening? Answer, I do not. Question, do you recall making any statement to a medic, whether or not you recall the medic? Answer, no, sir. Question, Dr. Jacobson? Answer, yes, I remember talking to Dr. Jacobson. Question, was he the first doctor you saw? Answer, I don't know that. I honestly don't know that. There were a lot of people, it seemed to me. Dr. Jacobson asked me some medical type questions, and I asked him how my wife and kids were. But you don't want to know that. But I remember talking to him. Question, do you recall telling him anything about what occurred that night in your house? Answer, no, sir. Question, Dr. Straub? Answer, no. Question, do you remember talking to him? Answer, not really. I think honestly, only because I reread his testimony. I don't remember. I can't picture myself there talking to anyone other than Dr. Jacobson. Question, how about Dr. Gimmer? Answer, Dr. Gimmer, what I first remember is much later. I don't know in hours, but I'm talking about a later time. Question, was this prior or subsequent to the time when they took you upstairs and inserted tubes? Answer, I don't know who inserted the first chest tube. I believe he inserted the second chest tube. I'm not sure. Question, the two were not inserted at the same time? Answer, no, they were not. Question, how much of an interval was there before these two surgical procedures? Answer, I know from the medical records. It was hours. It was a period of hours. Question, but you don't recall it yourself? Answer, no, independently. Answer, actually, the only clear recollection was of how much it hurt when he was putting the second chest tube in. Question, how about Major Ryder or Dr. Ryder? Answer, I remember a visit sometime in the hospital. This is days later. Apparently, he visited me earlier, but I wasn't aware. I don't remember that. We're going to end it right there. It's been a solid 30 minutes of dictation for you. And I hope that this helps you and improves your writing. And hope I didn't go too fast for you, although I do need to start pushing you out of your comfort zone. So if this is perfect for you, please give me a thumbs up. If it was too fast, I apologize, and I'll slow it down on the next reading for you. How about that? Okay. This has been awesome tonight, people. I'll load this video up immediately so you can have this. I want to thank you all for viewing, all for subscribing, all for my new subs. Thank you, new subs. Thank you, all my subs. This channel would be nothing without you. Have a great one. Love, peace, and always Steno. Oh, and always, you are Steno Slayer. Remember that. Good night, folks.